Hello, friends. I thought I would just bring you along on a quick play day today. I have my supplies out here on a tray beside me, and I'm just going to get started. Now, one of the things I'm going to work with today is tape. And there's any number of tapes. I have all kinds of assorted tapes in my stash. We all have washi tape, right? I have painter's tape. This is like an artist grade tape. This is, what is this? This is carpet tape, a little bit thicker. Um, this is like a medical tape. It's a fabric, almost kind of like canvas or something tape. You can see the fibers here in it. And then, of course, the cheap tapes from, these are athletic tapes from the dollar store. So, whatever you've got in your stash, dig it out. If you don't have any, you can get it cheaply enough at those discount stores, whether it's the dollar store or, even going to Walmart or something like that, you can find these kinds of things. But what you want is something to put the tape out onto. These are just some plastic pieces, dividers that I had from something. And so I'm going to take some of this tape and I'm just going to put it down on these dividers. And I want to make sure I get it out smoothly so I don't have a bunch of wrinkles in there. But if you notice underneath here, just finish this last one here. Underneath here, I have several layers of different tapes. I've got these two on these, and I'm doing both front and back because as they dry, you can flip them over and do the other side too. This is just on a piece of plastic. This is not as flat as I would like, but it'll work. This is, I don't know, just some heavier weight plastic that I put tape out onto. But what I want to do is take these pieces that we've put tape down onto, and I want to do some stenciling. So I'm going to grab some stencils. Let me see what I want to use here. These are just an assortment of, I really like this one. I think I might have to use that one because it's got circular stuff, This is a Seth Apter, but I'm looking for something with some pattern. I like this one. This is cool because I might have to use that, might have to use that. I mean, these are all good stencils for doing this. These are all, so as we continue here, this one, I'll show you what I'm going to do with that later, but let's just pick a couple. Don't have to be fussy about this. And you can use whatever stenciling tools you have, whether it's a stencil brush, a brush like this, just a sponge that you can use. They all work. So don't fuss over things. Pull out what you have in your stash to use. Now, I'm just going to take one of these pieces of plastic. I've got some smaller pieces of this plastic that have some paint on it already. And I'm going to put some paint out to use. I pulled a few paints I want to use. This is called Cashew. This is a Master's Touch. I think you can get this at most of the arts and crafts stores. Oh boy. Cashew. And you see it's a little bit thicker paint. Good for stenciling because it's a little bit thicker paint. Get some Cashew. This one is a Deco Art Premium. This is primary magenta. So we'll get a little bit of that. That also is a heavier body, not as thick as this, but you know, you're looking for something that's got a little bit of body to it. This is Derylide Yellow. So let's get some of that. And I will maybe use some metallics too. What color is this? This is Quinn Red. I don't know if it's going to be a lot different from that. Maybe a little bit darker. Pretty close. A little more red, a little more pink. So we can mix those up to make whatever combination we want. And what else do I want to add? I think that's probably enough to get started with, right? So I'm going to take my stencil. And this one kind of has a flowy theme to it, kind of like water. So I think that's kind of cool. Let me just get one of these stencil brushes, and I'm going to start with that nice dark, almost magenta color. I guess it is a magenta. And I should probably put a piece of paper behind that so I'm not getting all over everything. Just grab something here that I was working on the other day. Grab that, put it underneath there. Try to line this back up again. There we go. And I'm just gonna stipple some color down here. Onto my tape. I don't want it thick because I want it to dry. We want layers. So I'm just gonna start with that. I think I'm gonna go into that other red and, you know, get a little variation between the two, the magenta and the red. Okay, try and clean that off a little bit because it's gotten a little bit thick on the stencil. So I'm going to move that around. Okay, let's take a look, see what we've got. So I've got some nice motion there. Let's come back with this one, which is also, well, let's set that aside to dry. Let's do another piece while we're waiting. I've got a couple of different kinds of tape here. This is, because it's a cloth tape, this would be very good for your book binding. So this would be really cool to, you know, use for your tabs or your, what do you call it? You know, where you're binding the edge of your book, your spine, all that sort of thing. I think I'm going to come back into a little bit of that yellow and mix some of that magenta into it. Get some other colors going here, because we don't want just monochromatic. I want to get some other colors going. A little bit more red down in here. And I think I'm loving this one already. You know, just have fun playing. There's no right or wrong with this. It's just adding layers. If you don't like a layer, add another layer. You know, that's the beauty of working with something like this. Okay, so I've got a place down here where I didn't get anything. So let me just grab a little more paint. Get onto this piece. Oh yeah, I'm loving these. These are pretty. All right, let's go back to this one. And let's take a different stencil. Let's go in with this. Let's go in with another. This is that, what do I call this, cashew? Let's get some of that cashew. And I'm going to actually add a little of the magenta into the cashew. Before I get into this very far, let's take a look and see what we think. It's covering up a lot. Maybe I should get a little of that yellow. Come in here. With that, it's pretty cool. It's going to be a little bit lighter touch down here. There. Yeah, I like the lighter touch a little bit better. But you can see we're getting those layers on there. This piece down here is going to need some paint on it. But, you know, I'm not going to make you sit through everything that I'm doing here. I'm just having a play with my tape. So I want to add some dark and maybe even a metallic to these because I think that's going to make it a lot more interesting. And we're not going to use great huge pieces of this, so it doesn't matter how this layer is working out. Go back to my paper here. So this one is still quite wet. It's kind of thick paint on there. See, I've even got another image on a piece of paper here with that. So let's let that dry a little bit. Let's look at this one. How's it coming along? It's still a little wet too, but we've got tape on the back side. Let's grab another stencil. Ooh, this one's cool. Let's start with the yellow. I want to take some of that off. Oops. And I'm going to add a little of that magenta. Quinacridone magenta. And even the contrast of the natural color of the tape is going to be interesting. You know, even if you just want to leave that, it's going to be interesting as you work on this. So don't be afraid to just leave some with some natural colored backgrounds. Okay, let me swirl that a little bit. Get it off of the stencil. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff, right? All right, so now I've got this layer. I'm going to clean my brush, or at least wrap it up in a towel here to keep it from drying out. I think I want to add some metallic. I've got this Dyna. This is a blue iridescent. Let's do something with that. It's almost a purpley blue. I'm going to change brushes. Here's another stencil brush. And okay, here's a Seth Apter stencil from Stencil Girl. Let's see what this does for us. Just going to do that one spot. Oh, that's interesting, right? Flip it over, take the excess off. Yeah, so you see how you can just continue to layer and layer. This one is the one I was really interested in using because it's got all those circles. Let's go back to this one that has 2 layers on it. And let's see what this Dyna Iridescent Blue does on here. How am I lining up? Line up with the edge here. And this iridescent is kind of translucent, so you can see the layers underneath, which I think is awesome. I'm just doing a real thin, about as thin as I can get layer on here. So we get that translucent effect. Oh yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, I'm gonna flip that over. Take the excess off of that. And let's go back to this one. I think I want to add a different color. So once again, I'm going to take my rag here. I think I can go back to this one. Just going to clean out what I can. I'm going to wrap up my brush. So I'm off of the blue now. I'm back to, this time I want to use copper. So there's some copper. And I'm just going to fill my brush, swirl it around with that copper. That's quite a bit. So I want to take a little bit of that off. Now I'm going to come back with that stencil I was loving. And let's do some copper circles on top of this. Oop. Having trouble getting that up. Yeah, isn't that cool? Still got wet paint there. Let's do a few light copper circles down here. See what that looks like on this one. Oh yeah, that's fun. Yeah, that's fun. I'm liking what I can see through there. Let's mix a little bit of this blue in with that magenta. Take a little bit off. and then come back in here. Oh, like that a lot, yeah. Okay, so getting our layers built up, right? Let's go back. Look at this. Is this dry yet? Almost. This is almost dry. Because what I want to do is move on. Get this paper out of the way. And I'm gonna move these paints out of the way also, so I don't stick my elbow in it. Because you know what a klutz I am. Okay, so now I've got these tapes, and what I want to use them for is to make some embellishments. So, all right, I've still got stuff on my brush, so I'm just going to dry brush some of this tape that's down here. It's just adding another color to this tape. So let's set that aside. And I'm going to wrap up my brush, keep it wet so I can clean it good. All right, so what I was doing this morning is I was taking a bunch of tapes. And these can be handmade tapes. They can be, something like this that, you've had in your stash for a very long time and you need to use up. I find that these do not like to stick down real well. So I like to use either some glue, some matte medium, something like that, to put these types of tapes down, because they do not want to stay very well. So, and what I did over here is I came back with a medium and I sealed the surface so that it's not going to be popping up. But what you want to do is fill the whole background, and where they're overlapping, you still need to add some glue to those areas so that they'll stick down. Just keep filling in with your tapes. These happen to be some washi tapes that I had in my stash, just stuff that I haven't used up. I've got a lot of that kind of stuff that I haven't used up. But I can come back with some of these handmade tapes. Oops, I'm on the wrong side? No. Where's my tape? Here's my tape. Okay, so I can take some of these handmade tapes, pull them off of the backer, and you can easily scrape and clean these down. Just use some hand sanitizer or something. Let me see, what have I got here? Here's some little bit of hand sanitizer and a rag. So you don't have to let these get built up with all that paint and stuff. You can clean them off just like that. All right, so I'm going to put down a good amount of glue. This is just Elmer's glue stick. And I want to, I got a wrinkle in that one. I'm going to add some of my own tape into the background here. And create some paper image, right? And then what I did, once I had completed that, I don't know if this is dry enough yet. This is pretty wet. This is still pretty wet. I'll try one of them anyway. So I've got this one here has, oops, screw that up a little bit. Has another image. So you can see how you can just keep building and building. We've done this before. I don't know if you guys remember me doing this. So I just thought, well, I'll get this out and play. Have a good play day. Create some things to use in my collage work. I was spraying some journals this morning, and I was thinking, well, what am I going to put on top of that? So, okay, you can get all that down. You can dry it. You can then come back over, just get a medium like this. A matte medium, gloss medium, whatever you like to work with, doesn't matter. But, come in and seal all that down so that it doesn't pop back up again. Because some of these tapes do not always stay down. And I don't recommend drying that with a heat tool, but, for the sake of the video, let me just hit that softly. Okay, still wet, but that's good enough. So what I was doing is I was taking this paper and then I was cutting out imagery from these papers. So here is one where I was punching out these shapes. And you can punch out, you can die cut. I have, let's see, what do I have here? Here's a butterfly punch. Here are, let me grab these. Here are dies. So you can see all of these different things that can be cut from these flowers, these hearts and birds, different shapes of floral. So the one I was using for this, in case you want to know, because I know somebody's going to ask me, is a punch-a-bunch like this. So let's just do, this is one of those, I think this is one of those punch anywhere ones. Yeah. So it's got an opening like this. And I can figure out where I want to punch. Now, you can look through your viewfinder here and find what you want to punch, or you can just randomly, pick a spot because, I want to use the most of this. I can pick a spot. Let's see, which end is up? This end is up. Okay, so got to stand up to do this. There we go. I heard it go. All right, so we just punched our butterfly. And there's a cool little butterfly. And we can keep going. We can just, put this down, put this in another spot, fasten that down. Punch multiple butterflies, and they become really interesting effects for your collage. All right. Did I get that square? I don't know. I don't think I got that on there right. All right, that one's not going to work for me. I didn't get it lined up quite right. Let's see. There. If you let the magnets do the work for you, it works out a lot better, right? So there's quick and easy, 3 pretty cool little butterflies and some different pieces for your pages. So if I wanted to add those, grab a journal. Here's my journal page. I've already done some sprays and things on my journal page, but how fun is this where I can just add these elements that I created onto a journal page, right? Okay, that's it for me today. Hope you enjoyed this. If you are new to my channel and you like this kind of content, be sure to subscribe, leave me a comment so I know you're here. And I'll see you again next time, guys. Bye.